gentle reminder, the connection principle. Listen and attend to connect. Why ego off? Connection is a fascinating topic because it deals with listening and attending to others. What we find is that most people don't listen past what they know, or they listen from the perspective of simply trying to validate their own thinking. Recognizing that really forces us to be present and really listen to what people are having to say. I want to teach you 2 skills in this little segment that will help you to listen in a very different way to people than you've ever listened before. So here they are. Number 1, we all are surrounded by people who often complain or criticize or blame or give advice. What I want you to recognize when you start hearing those negative messages is that there's really a positive value that's hidden in those messages. So for example, let's say someone says something like, "You never listen to me." If that's what they're saying, notice the positive value then is, I have something important to say, or I'd really like your full attention. So notice we're just not used to listening in that way. Now if you wanted to check it out with them, after you hear that statement, you could turn that into a question. So let's take that one. "You never listen to me." It sounds like you really want my advice on something. So notice I'm making a statement and inflecting it at the end. But what I'm doing is approaching it from the positive perspective. Here's another one, and this is one of my favorites. So just know, and we've talked about this before, that what's going on with people on the inside, in their head, is what will come out in what they talk about. So if you can get them talking, what they're doing is telling you all about themselves and what's going on with them. So I'd like you to picture a person, kind of a little stick person, and bubbles around them. So that when you get a person talking, what are you going to write in those bubbles in your mind? I want you to listen to the words that they use and how they emphasize or intonate those words. And then use those words to identify what's going on with them. For example, when I first discovered this skill, I used to practice it in the supermarket. So here's what I would do. I'd pull up, and let's say I was waiting in line, and someone would come in behind me and pull up, and I'd say, "Hey, how's it going today?" And you might hear something like this. "Well, you know, God, sometimes things just stink." So notice the word stink. So I would ask this question. So, wow, it sounds like something is really, really frustrating. At work, maybe I added that. They go, "Well, yeah, you know, people, you know, they just, So then I'd ask, there's somebody at work that you're really just struggling with. And then they might say, "Yeah, well, they do a lot of work, but then again," and then I'd ask, so that person at work isn't following directions, or maybe they're doing the wrong things, and people's eyes would get real big. This person's eyes got real big. And they go, what are you, a mind reader or something?" And I go, "No, I'm just listening to you." And then go, "Well, wow." So do you understand what's happening? What people talk about on the outside is a reflection of what's going on in their head. So if you listen for the words they use and how they intonate or emphasize them, and then use that to ask questions, you'll connect with them in a big way, and people will be very, very shocked. So what do I want you to do? 2 things. So for a week, why don't you just try listening to people's negativity? Only you're listening from the perspective of a positive value. If you venture and can identify the value towards the end of the week, then try asking questions. So if someone says, "I thought you were supposed to get me this report by 3, then the question would be, keeping my commitment is very important to what you're trying to accomplish. Ask it as a question to check it out. That's one thing you could work on. You could use that one for 2 weeks, actually. And then secondly, this is the fun one, is start listening to the words that people use and how they intonate or emphasize them, and then ask questions to check it out. In fact, we just had one this morning. My son, just before he went off to school, he said, "Dad," right? So notice he's emphasizing Dad. "Mom's making me do the dishes again." Okay, so there's something about making and again that are important to him or that he's frustrated with. So I asked him, I said, "So does it bother you that Mom kind of, when she gets in dictator mode, just says, do the dishes rather than allowing you to kind of do it on your own?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then again, I didn't know what again meant, so I just guessed. I just said, "I'm wondering when you use again, Matthew, if that means that you think you have more jobs than than your brothers." And his eyes got real big. "Yeah, that's exactly what I mean, but notice I was lucky and hit the target." So just know that if you'll make a concerted effort to listen in these two ways, not only will you be present and not be preoccupied by the stuff going on in your head, but you'll really connect with these folks, and they'll wonder what planet you came from. I hope this helps you. Have fun. Thanks for listening.